Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. And it is a pleasure to see you again. I am so excited to be back. It has been a long time. I started these Facebook Live sessions last summer when the pandemic hit, and during the holidays, I took a hiatus. And I'm ready. I'm ready to start back with the interviews. And this is the first interview of 2021. And I hope that you enjoy it as much as I do. I have known this fabulous woman for, I want to say, since 2004. And I met Fawn Germer when we were at the Maui Writers Conference many, many moons ago. And she has since come out with 9 books. And her most recent one is, I'm going to show it on the screen so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Coming Back, How to Win the Job You Want When You've Lost the Job You Need. And I think this is so timely for our group here that many of us have experienced setbacks in many ways during the pandemic. Many of us have experienced emotional setbacks, physical setbacks, and I know quite a few people who have been downsized, capsized, laid off from their jobs because of just everything going on in the world. So, Fawn is going to be here to shed some light on how we can become more marketable in this crazy competitive economy. In fact, I just want to share a little bit about her before I bring her on and give you a little intro. She, as I said, she is a best-selling author. She is a professional speaker. She is she's an amazing woman who has interviewed more than 300 executives, CEOs, um, you name it, famous people, luminaries, dignitaries. She has done it all. In fact, she tells a cute story about how she had a boss hole. Yes, you heard me right. A boss hole who once told her that she could not pursue her dreams and become a reporter. Well, she ended up becoming a reporter, and we'll talk about that a little bit. She lives in Florida. She is in the Tampa area, and that's where she did a lot of her reporting. And as a result, she was able to write this best-selling book called Hard Won Wisdom, which was one of Oprah's picks um, years ago. And I hope you will check out her new book. Again, it's coming back, How to Win the Job You Want When You've Lost the Job You Need. And I'll bring her on in just a second. And here she comes.
Yeah.
Hi, Fawn.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I want to take a nap. It's so zen with your background. I just want to just chill out. It's so pretty there.
You like my bamboo?
I do.
It's very invasive. I have to have it cut back constantly, but it is kind of pretty.
Beautiful.
Well, I'm so excited. You and I haven't really talked in years,
Years and years.
but I see you on Facebook. I follow
All
you
the
on
time.
Facebook.
Yeah.
You're a avid kayaker. You love the outdoors. You love your dogs. You
Yeah.
love your family. You love your friends.
That's that's me. That's a good full life right there. And I have to do some work every now and again.
You do, and work has certainly changed for all of us, hasn't it?
Yes.
The whole world has had to, and I'm going to use that P word, pivot.
Right.
It is so overused right now.
It wasn't so overused before, but man, we all had to pivot. We had to figure it out.
I know, because you're a professional speaker and you're on the road hundreds of days out of the year. You're on airplanes. You're in
My
hotel.
money is out there.
Yeah.
So when I had to stay here, that wasn't a good thing.
Well, what happened? What do you remember? What do you recall this time last year when the world shut down And were you already writing the book at the time? Did you
Oh, yeah.
already have the
Oh,
idea in your head?
the book was done. So what happened was, I think it was around March 11th when things started to cancel. My whole year collapsed in a week, like dominoes.
Mm-hmm.
And I, what I did was I made the groups that were having me within the next 60 days, they had to pay me because they didn't have an out in their contracts. And I said, if you do it within a year, and I'm really going to do it within a year and a half, I'll do it again for free, but you have to pay me now. So that got me some income. And then there was this day I was standing there in my kitchen and I had no speaking, and I just started to laugh really hard because I thought, oh, wow, I've been there before. Because you mentioned my book, Hard Won Wisdom, and that's a book that it was torture to get a publisher. I kept getting rejected, and I break through that, and then I get my first copy and sign the first copy for my parents on 9/11. So my tour got canceled, and I had to fight my way through that. And I learned that your greatest moments for success occur in times when everyone else is frustrated and giving up. And so I had that moment a year ago where I'm in my kitchen. I'm like, oh, I've done this before. And I have a book coming out in January on how to find a job when everybody's unemployed. I'll be fine. So I'm going to enjoy this year. And that's exactly what I did. But I made sure I had good infrastructure. And then I wrote some new chapters on dealing with COVID and making it even more relevant for people. So that right now, when there are so many people competing for this slim number of jobs, you have an advantage to get it. So it was a crazy year. And somebody interviewed me for Newsweek and they said, well, how did you do in 2020? And I said, well, business was a challenge, but the kayaking was fabulous. I feel like you don't have the opportunity to waste a day of your life. And how many people did you know who were going, oh, 2020, I can't wait till 2020 is over, 2020. And then, the first thing that happens, and I kept thinking 2021 could be worse. Just go with what you've got. And the first thing that happened in 2021 was the insurrection. And it's like, you don't know what's coming. You never know. So what you can do is have a good today. And I had a great 2020. I had a great 2020.
Yeah, I would say, aside from everything else, it was a really good time for everybody to just sit back, relax, and reflect a little bit on what was important. And for me, it was a time for me to connect with friends I hadn't seen in a long time. And I mean, I wasn't face to face with them, but I started my Facebook Live programs. I started talking on the phone more. I started taking more walks outdoors, which I never
Right?
do. So it was a good time to start projects around the house. So it was really a time, I think, for the first time in history where we were all doing the same thing, which was
Yes.
basically nothing.
Nothing. And all these people are talking about how what a terrible situation. They have to find jobs. They can't do any networking. And I've done the best networking of my life, period. There is nothing like what's going on this past year and still to an extent now, because I knew a lot of senior executives and big leaders from my speaking because they'd bring me in for these big events, and you never could get a bunch of them together for drinks because their schedules, you'd send out something, when can we do it? And this one can, and that one can't. And when the lockdown happened, I sent out an email saying, I will be hosting a Zoom call for all of us Tuesday at 6 p.m. I didn't even ask who could come. I figured of the 15 people, I would get 6.
Mm-hmm.
I had 15 because nobody's doing anything. And so now they love those calls so much, they're making it happen. I said it, we do it. And that's one thing that is very much available to everybody, is to find a way to do social Zooming. And I'm getting a little tired of the Zoom thing. How about you?
I am too. I can only do it in small doses. And I have learned to teach my classes online. And I always insist with my clients, let's not go more than an hour. If we do, we need to take a break because it's hard on me. It's hard
Yeah.
on them.
That's so true. And sometimes I'll have a day, especially promoting a book during a pandemic. It's interview, interview, interview. It's all Zoom all the time. And one meeting planner friend said, yeah, the speaking business is really going to go because we now know how we can do these things so affordably, and we don't have to fly people in, and we don't have to pay for their food. And I thought, well, I'll just keep doing these virtual presentations like I'm doing. But then I started watching the Zoom fatigue, and I realized we're hungry to be with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a live event this week, and I was very reluctant to do it because I'm very careful, but they did it right. We were all masked up and spread out. People were desperate to be in the room with each other. So I figure it'll come back.
I think it will too.
Yeah.
And you're in Tampa, or you're in the Tampa area, right?
Right.
Okay. And where was this speaking engagement?
It was sort of Chamber of Commerce right here. And
Perfect.
yeah, they had 100 people, and not quite, but it was spread out in a big ballroom, and it was heartwarming because we were desperate for connection like that. Nobody had seen each other like that. The energy at an event is always really great. Everybody's excited to be together. But this was really different because we all are lonely for this kind of community. We've had our friends, we've had a lot of small group stuff, but the big group stuff, that I wish I could do that every day right now.
I know.
Yeah.
And you feel so good when you come home, and
Right.
you feel a sense of accomplishment that you don't always feel when you get off of a Zoom interview.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the Zoom was, you have to do Zoom right. Those virtual presentations, I enjoy them because I can see when I say something and the chat blows up.
Yeah.
But I miss you all. I miss people. I miss hugging. I finally got my nails done for that event because I haven't gone to the nail salon, COVID, right? And the lady looks down at my toes and she's like, "It's been too long." I'm thinking, you're telling me it's been too long for all of this. And then she was massaging my hands, and I was thinking, gosh, I really haven't had I live alone, and I really haven't been touched much this last year. I haven't noticed it until someone actually touched me.
Yeah. Thank God for our animals.
Well, don't get me started because we'll forget to promote my book, but I'll start talking about my animals and then we're done.
I know.
Yeah.
And you have some beautiful animals, and I follow you on Facebook, and I love the way you rescue the babies that you have. But let's get back to interviews on Zoom, because a lot of people now,
Oh yeah, they're doing.
they're interviewing on Zoom and other platforms. And I have to say, one of my most popular programs this past year was Virtual Presence, teaching people about lighting and sound and backgrounds. And I'm sure you encounter this when you are on Zoom calls. You see people with all kinds of weird backgrounds. I mean, people are literally in the dark about what to do and projecting or putting their best face forward.
I was interviewed by a dude who had his laundry in a basket right behind him. I could see his dirty socks.
Yeah.
Now, it's the people, they don't really give that enough attention and realize every inch of that screen is potential judgment zone. So make sure it's right. And I know, like, if you were to see my desk isn't behind me like it might look. It's actually in front of me. And y'all don't need to see that because it's a mess, right? So I know that I'm somebody that if I'm going to be doing a lot of virtual, that I have to have some sort of a virtual background. And I do that. And it looks good, does the job. So you have to figure out when you're doing these things, what kind of an image you're going to portray and give. And these interviews for jobs are all beginning now in this way. And that is the go-to thing because it's easy for people to jump on and get an idea if you need to go to the next level, but they're hiring people with Zoom now. So you got to do it right.
Right. So how do you, there's so many questions I have that all come back to your book, Coming Back. One would be, how does one stand out in a sea of people? There's so many people unemployed right now. First of all, I mean, do you have to have a LinkedIn page?
Yes. Yes. Now, do I enjoy having to have one? No, but that's the rule of the game. And people whose careers sputter out, it's because they started lagging on the technology. So you must have a LinkedIn page, and you need to use that to your advantage, which is pick 10 companies you want to work for and search for people in those companies and start adding them to your LinkedIn. Because then if recruiters are looking at applications, they look to see who knows people within the company. And that's one of the ways they know you do. And then you follow those people that you've added and you comment on their posts. And then at some point, not from the beginning, I hate those self-serving, will you do something for me things from 15 different strangers in one day on LinkedIn. What you do is you build a relationship and then you say, hey, I've been trying to figure out how to break in at your company. Can we do a Zoom and coffee? And most people say yes when you ask for a small favor. Most people do. Somebody will say no, and then the next one will say yes. So you just keep asking.
That's a really good tip. I think, first of all, I mean, everybody knows they really should be on LinkedIn, but you take it a level further in that you tell people to connect with the employers that they would like to align themselves with, follow those people, comment on their things, and then a warm lead is going to be better than a cold lead
Every time.
every time.
Every time. And don't bet your life on an online application. Right now, there may be literally 1,000 applications for one job. And so that's enough to get you very discouraged and make you want to not try. No, just try smarter. So you can fill those out so you're doing something, because sometimes you get lucky. But it's really about having a network you can leverage. And I just told you, by using LinkedIn, you can find the people who will get you in the door. And what you have to do is, once somebody is one of your contacts, you turn them into a friend who you can then say, I need a personal favor.
Mm-hmm.
And you contact this person or this department. This is a job I'm interested in. I'd be so great at it. Can you help me? Instead of saying, hey, can you circulate my resume? And then all they have to do then is send it to HR and they forget about it. They don't care. Their desk is clear. Ask for specifically what you want. Leverage your network, and your network will deliver for you. But they've got to see you more as an ally, a friend, not just a business acquaintance who knows what you do.
I think LinkedIn is one of the most underutilized social media platforms that we have.
It's just not as fun.
It's not.
Would you
However,
rather see my professional stuff, or do you want to see my kayaking pictures? Okay. That's just, I mean, I'm making peace with it. We have to make peace with it. It's your business.
and I think we have to embrace technology, because people of a certain age will say, well, I'm just not into Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram, or now Clubhouse. Clubhouse
Right.
is the greatest thing going. And you don't have to do all of them, do you? Or
You have to figure the ones you can kind of figure out what you need to know, but I think the larger problem is that people aren't approaching technology for what it means to business. There's an Oxford University study that says that in 10 years, 47% of our current jobs will no longer exist. Now, let's just say they're only half right, and let's say it's only 25%. Mm-hmm. That 1 out of 4 jobs won't even exist. So that you need to be up to date on robotics and artificial intelligence and blockchain and these other things that you can quickly learn. But you must learn them, because if you're more advanced in your career, chances are you're drawing a higher salary than a fresh graduate. But the fresh graduate is up to date on all of those things that will drive the company into the future. So if you don't get to the point where you understand what technology is going to do so that you can lead that, you don't have to be a programmer, but you have to know it. So I tell people to go to edX.org and Coursera.org, sign up for classes in all of these technologies. You pick your industry. Say your industry is insurance, and you Google trends in the insurance industry, and then you read that, and then artificial intelligence and trends in the insurance industry, and see. And when you start to see what's going to be happening, then you'll know which skills you need to bone up on, and you got to do it. You have no choice, because there's no way anyone can justify paying you more than a fresh graduate. And if that fresh graduate knows how to use those technologies and you don't, only a fool would want to keep you over them, especially experience counts for nothing anymore. It's a sad insult, but it's true. So you have to get current.
Yeah, I like the way you mentioned artificial intelligence and blockchain and space. And I mean, there's so many, the world is changing so rapidly. In
Yeah.
fact, the things that I started doing during the pandemic was I started investing in the stock market. It was a good time to get in because everything tanked.
All right. We're having some interesting days lately, aren't we? I thought today's good.
Today's a good day. Yesterday was the even better day.
Right.
But these are this is what I consider growth companies. And you're right. If you're not up to speed, you either have to hire somebody who is, which can become expensive, or you have to know the resources. And what are the resources you just mentioned? Because I do want to put those in our comments after
Sure.
the program.
Coursera.org, Coursera.org, and edX, edx.org. And what's really important about these is they have courses from Harvard and Yale and Stanford and Penn and hopefully my esteemed alma mater, the University of Florida. But all these schools have their best professors doing these classes, and you can sign up for free. Now, I started, the first one I ever did was a class in innovation through MIT.
Mhm.
And I was getting all type A about the first test. And it occurred to me, I already have my degrees. I don't need the grade. I can flunk this class.
Mhm.
And so don't stress them. Just get the information. It doesn't matter what your performance is in this online class. Get the information. And then you can drop that into conversations, because doesn't it sound impressive that I studied innovation with MIT, right?
Absolutely.
But it was a 20-hour online course that was easy, and I didn't worry about the tests. I don't care about the tests because I don't need to worry about them. You don't either, but you need the information.
So these classes are free?
They're free. Now, oh, you have the option. I think you can pay like $50, and then they'll send you a certificate that says you took it and passed it. And who can show that $50 certificate to? And I know somebody did it because she wanted to have something that said she studied at Yale. And you're not studying at Yale. You're studying an online class that's a courtesy from Yale. But you can just kind of speckle your conversation with these things, because people who are hiring and advancing people want to know that you are relevant.
Yeah.
And that when you say that you're studying something and reading this in Inc. or Fast Company or saw something in the Wall Street Journal, it means you are intellectually curious. They want people who are insatiably curious. So be curious. Learn this stuff.
Absolutely. I think that that's really the biggest takeaway from our conversation today is you have to stay relevant. You have to be well read. It never hurts to take a class in anything. And the more marketable you are, the more you stand out among your peers. And it's all
Right.
about standing out. I mean, it's not good enough anymore just to have a fabulous resume. I think, and I think you'll agree with me, that relationships are everything. And I do
Absolutely.
want to end with this last question because I know we're running out of time. But what advice would you have for someone who is fresh out of school, who has no contacts or very little contacts, who wants to get his or her foot in the door, but they don't necessarily know how to do it? Give us maybe 3 to 5 tips for this young person who really wants to stand out and get the job he or she wants and needs.
Well, the first thing would be I need to write another book on that because I focus mostly on people further down in their careers. But I would say the first thing you have to do is network. And that means you call in chits with your parents' friends and the friends of their friends. So who do they know? And then start doing these informational Zoom calls and be a little vulnerable because people will help you. You don't the last thing you want is to seem desperate,
Mhm.
but you do want to seem ready. And so spell out your dreams and your goals and say, hey, what do you suggest I do? Start asking people for their opinions. And then remember, you just keep taking the next step. So you're always doing something. My book looks closely at these things that are these disruptive cover letters. And a disruptive cover letter is unlike anything we've ever used in the past because we used to say, I'm interested in this job. I'd be a perfect fit because blah, blah, blah. But instead, you would say, I really want to get this job at Samsung because I had to use some of that equipment when I was caring for a loved one or something. I mean, you find some reason to connect to the company and
Mhm.
show why you're interested in that company. And then say, my experience would make me a really great hire. And my commitment because of this passion would be far greater than any other applicant. And those tend to be very effective. So you want to do a disruptive cover letter. You don't want to write your resume just so that it beats the algorithm and you come through the process, because then you wind up with a resume that just looks like words. It doesn't make any sense. You need to spend some time on that so you have that presence. And then the other thing is just keep talking to people and talking to people and talking to people. I did some of my greatest networking in my life, and Jackie, you're probably the same,
Mhm.
occurred on airplanes
Yeah.
because you're stuck. You start talking to somebody, and then you find out, oh, they know somebody who's going to hire me as a speaker or something. Or
Mhm.
I was doing an event in Boston, and I'd been on the road so long, I went to get my nails done, and I'm at the drying table, and the woman across from me, we were just making chit chat. And then I asked her, how to find Macy's, I think. And she said, oh, I'll walk you. And then I find out she is the executive vice president or a senior vice president at State Street Financial, big financial company.
Mhm.
And she said she ends up hiring me for a keynote speech there.
Wow.
And this is somebody, we're doing our nails. So for younger people, I'd say just talk to people anywhere. You never know who you're going to meet who's going to change your life. So just keep meeting people.
So how can people get your book?
Well, it's everywhere, certainly on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and hopefully in your local bookstore. It it is available there, and it has everything from dealing with issues on how to break through and tips on hiring and all of that, and staying relevant so that you don't get sidelined at work, to some of the more psychological things that we're dealing with in terms of how this impacts our identity and our self-worth and all of those other things. So it's a guide to help you come back.
And I can't wait to share it with all of our listeners and our viewers. I have put the Amazon link in the show notes so that people can just click on and get a copy. And I hope everybody will follow you on Facebook and LinkedIn and
I
Instagram.
get that LinkedIn, right? We got to do it.
You got to do it.
Got to do it. Yeah. Or
Well,
email me. I love hearing from people. I love hearing from people.
I know, and you're so good about responding to people. I have to say, even though you and I haven't personally spoken in many years, we've always stayed in touch. And I've always
Yeah.
followed you by going to your Facebook page, and I can always find out what's going on in your life. And what I do love about you is you are vulnerable. You are transparent. You don't you are who you are. What you see is what you get. And that's what I love um about your personality, because you're exactly the way you are on stage as you are right here and now.
Well, and that's what people applying for jobs should remember. We are our own best asset. We can't do it by being somebody else.
Absolutely. So thank you so much
Thank you, Jackie.
for
You're
being my
wonderful.
guest. then I will just end the show, and then you and I will say goodbye one last time. And again, everybody can find Fawn at Fawn Germer. That's GERMER.com. And the book is coming back, How to Win the Job You Want When You've Lost the Job You Need. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching. And I'll be posting this on YouTube and Instagram and on Fawn's Facebook page. So everybody
Yay.
can watch it again. Yay. So thanks again.
Bye, everybody.